Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Brian. I like Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark Christmas movies.
And I'm Danny, and it depends for me. It depends on the day, the movie, and all of the things.
And
but mostly,
this
I
is
love
the
it.
Deck the Hallmark
podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Well,
Oh,
hello,
boy.
everybody. Happy day to you. Welcome to the podcast. Danny Pellegrino, host of Everything Iconic and the screenwriter of the upcoming movie Deck the Walls. Danny, hello.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here. I was telling you before we started recording, I'm a big fan of the show, and this is really the holy grail for this kind of thing. So I've been wanting to connect with you guys forever. So I hope I don't let your listeners down, but I'm one of them, and I'm excited to be here.
I mean, this guy, to repeat that on air for us, Danny Pellegrino.
And before the check clears, too.
Yeah,
that was really
unbelievable.
Read our cue cards verbatim.
Yeah.
Like, what a pro.
right.
nice.
That's right. I do. There is one kind of problem I do have, and that is that I'm not there in person because I'm looking at the screen right now, and it just looks so festive. And I'm nothing if not someone who loves a festive decor.
You
So
would fit
I
right
am
in
jealous
here,
I'm not
Danny.
there.
And
Yeah.
Danny, have you ever been to Greenville, South Carolina?
I have, years and years. Yes, I have. Yes,
Okay,
but
you
not
said years
for a
and
very
years
long
ago.
time.
So I think we need to make it right and
That's
have you come
right.
out again because
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's really quite the city.
it's like a
now.
Hallmark town.
It really is.
I know if I would have gotten the invite, I would have been on a plane this morning. I would have been
Wow.
there. But,
Whoa.
but I knew we were doing it over Zoom, and I don't want to be presumptuous and say I'm going to get on a plane. But next time I will.
Next time, be presumptuous. I think
Yeah,
that's what we've learned here.
absolutely. That's right.
I would love to hear a little bit about Deck the Walls because I know that you have watched many of these movies over the years and then decided, I guess, you're going to write one. How was that process for you? How did you go from just a watcher of the movies to now getting to write your very own?
You know, I have been a fan of these movies forever. I've watched them with my mom since they started 15 or so years ago with Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas. But just in general, I love holiday movies. And so it was always a dream to write one and to be in one. And so I've written some other screenplays that unfortunately have gotten stuck at different places over the years with the pandemic and the strikes. It just felt like nothing was really kind of moving forward for me. But I set the goal then. I was like, you know what? I always wanted to write one of these kind of Christmas movies. Let me sit down and try to do it. So I did, and I had gotten it over to some of the folks at Hallmark, and they luckily responded to it. Camden Simmons there has been fantastic to work with. And then they brought on Tracy Andreen, who you guys might be familiar with. Hallmark had brought Tracy on, and she's fantastic. I got to work with her a little bit, and she sort of played around with my script that they had purchased, and she had done a rewrite on it to kind of Hallmarkify it, I guess. I keep using that word, which is not a word, but
Using it right.
No, it
In this
is.
space,
It's
it's
a
a
word.
yeah. So I did write the initial script. Hallmark bought it, and then Tracy came on board, and we kind of collaborated together, and it was a great experience. Everyone was so great, and it was such a dream come true. And then I'm also acting in it, and so that was really trippy for me because there was a scene where I'm Wes Brown is in it, and you guys know Wes from the Haul Out the Holly movies and so many others. But there was a scene, one of the first days of shooting, I'm like on the porch, and him and I are wrapping lights around the porch or something like that. And I had like a really out of body experience because I was like, I've watched you in all these Christmas movies, and now I'm in one with you, and it was just a weird kind of head trip. But it was such a dream come true, and everyone was great, and
That's fantastic.
I love that.
Let me ask you this, Danny. Your movie's not just coming out; it's coming out the day after Thanksgiving, which is like rarefied air. I mean, the Thanksgiving weekend is talk about the gold standard.
Yeah.
It is the gold standard of Hallmark Christmas movies. So when you found that out, was there any added pressure, or were you excited?
I was thrilled. Because I had initially heard rumors that we were going to be later in the year. And then we were actually on set when we found out the release date. So we were still, I think we had a couple days left of shooting still, 1 or 2 days. It was the tail end of the thing. And they had come out with the announcement of the schedule. And we had found out we were going to be on that day after Thanksgiving. And that the Hallmark people, I had heard rumors that they were happy with how things were going. And so they kind of, we got lucky with that spot. But I'm so thrilled because, I love these movies. And so I kind of knew just behind the scenes inside baseball of it all. I was like, oh, that's a really good spot. I can't believe that. And then I also found out we're going to be airing after the Chiefs movie the next night as well. So I hope it means I haven't.
Wow, you're going to get just as many views then.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, I feel like that was just really braggy of me to be talking about that.
It's fantastic.
But I was so excited about it. I was so excited about that.
That's amazing.
The release date.
That's amazing.
And I mean, you guys talked a little bit earlier. You mentioned about how this happened or how it's sparked. And I really love these Hallmark Christmas movies. I wanted to do like sort of a classic one with a few little twists. And so that was always the goal. I know one of the interesting things I've been noticing on the network is that they've been expanding even the one we're going to talk about in a little bit, Trivia at St. Nick's. It's like a little more of an ensemble thing. And they've been playing around with the form quite a bit and having game show things and adventure type movies and broader comedies. But I really wanted it to be kind of that classic big city gal comes home to a small town and then do some twists on that. So I hope fans of the genre and fans of Hallmark Christmas movies love it as much as I do.
Well, I can only assume that speaks to the quality of the script, though, because we know enough about the network and the scripts that they're getting to where they're not picking many of these classic type Hallmark movies. So that has to feel pretty good to go in there and be like, I wrote one that I would want to watch. And it's not like this crazy type of premise where it's like this type of movie where it's really kind of out there. It's more kind of in the box, but in the best way. It's going to feel good to have that movie picked up.
Yeah, look, I love all those tropes. I love the ice skating scene, the Christmas tree scene. And so like I wanted to do those things that I love and that we all find comfort in, but also what are the ways that we can maybe make it different or stand out or you know, play around with it. And so that was really a fun challenge. And so I think it's really sweet and lovely and all the things. So
do you
plan
to listen to the Deck the Hallmark episode of Deck the Walls, or do you think that's a skip for
No,
you?
no, I'll skip it for sure. No, because I just people. Hopefully, your listeners, maybe hopefully listeners can write me the nice things, you know. But maybe I don't. I'm too sensitive to find out the bad things. But no, I don't. I'm a fan of this genre, and so I feel like people are going to like it. I mean, I hope you guys like it.
I have no doubts. What's one thing in working with Hallmark and having Tracy come in and kind of tinker around with the script a little bit that you took away that you would kind of implement yourself the next go around? Because I'm sure there will be a next one for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, I don't, there was so much, I suppose once Tracy came on board, everything moved so quickly from that green light to shooting. But I noticed I've known Tracy's work before and the way she was kind of able to incorporate some of those things that we know and love from these Hallmark movies to just incorporate it into the script. And she really balanced out, you know, the thing that's coming to mind is my character has a little bit of a love interest and love story. And Tracy really amped that up in a way that I wasn't expecting. And so when I saw that, I was super excited because just as an actor, I got to play around with some different elements than I had initially written for my character. So that was fun. So I got to play a lot more romance and a little drama that wasn't in my version of the script. And so I think that's maybe what I took away from it. And kind of having some of those earnest, grounded moments is okay. Because I come from the comedy world. So I think my initial instinct is always to go for the funny joke or the laugh. And so, you know, Tracy, one of the things I took from her was just kind of grounding it in some of those earnest, Hallmark, dramatic, cheesy, maybe a little cheesy, but like in a good way moments.
Yeah. I love that. It sounds like it's going to be do you know about the card game that we've put out with Fink and Fink Games called Christmas Movie Magic? Have you heard about this?
Oh man,
yes.
Sweet.
Okay,
of
course.
nation.
It sounds like it's going to be the perfect game to play this
Perfect
game
movie
with.
to play the game.
Yes, that's right.
That's the one.
Because there's so many cards in here that because of the new Hallmark, it's like we don't see. Like we just played the Advent calendar card for the first time
this year,
and it's like how is there not
Mistletoe for the first time.
So this sounds like it could be a big win
with the classic things. Yeah,
I think so. We got a lot of that stuff in there.
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah. And we have such a great cast too. It's like Ashley Greene and Wes Brown, who's done a million of these. And I kept asking him throughout the whole thing. I was like, how is this? How is it for you? Because you've done so many of these. I'm like, is this a good one?
He's
You know,
been-
like, are
he's
you
been
doing?
on the show, and he was in Haul Up the Holly, which also turns the genre on its head, very like screwball comedically. But you've got a good lead if you want to take genres and like the genre and turn it and do a little bit of a different twist to it. Like he's great for that.
Yeah, and he's good at improv. I come from an improv background too, and that struck me most with Wes was that he was able to play the first scene I did with him. It was like he added something or improvised something, and it made me feel just so relaxed because I was like, oh, he's chill. He likes to improvise. He's quick on his feet, and so it was such a thrill to work with him. Yeah, but he knows. And those Holly movies, I literally just watched for I'm so embarrassed because I know I came on this show saying I'm a big fan of the genre, but those were two movies that I had just sort of missed, and I don't miss a lot of them, to be honest. But I caught up with them on Netflix, and I was texting him, and I was like, I can't believe these are on Netflix now. The Haul Out the Holly, and I've been hearing from other people who've been watching the Hallmark movies on Netflix, and I was like, are you just is there a whole new audience? He's like, yeah, there's so many people that are reaching out now because they're on the front page for a lot of people on Netflix, which is crazy.
I was
a big deal.
surprised to see that partnership, but I'm excited. There's lots of movies that I think are really great that were included in that collection. So I think that's a really cool audience for them. Before we dive into St. Nick's really quickly, I just want to ask, now that you've kind of seen a movie made in the 14 days, I don't know how long you were on set for, but was it quicker or a little bit like, did it kind of meet those expectations for how quick a Hallmark Christmas movie shoot is?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I knew that it shot quick, but I didn't realize, I think being in sort of the tornado, it makes it feel a lot quicker. But I also sort of love that you don't have time to overthink anything because you're moving from scene to scene. And so you just have to sort of say like, okay, this is what we might not have time to get coverage of this, or we might not be able to do it this way. And I tend to thrive in that kind of quick environment. And even with acting choices, it's like, you don't have a lot of time to decide or to really overthink it. You just have to go into the scene with a choice and then hope it works out, and they figure it out in the edit. I would always just say like, oh, they'll figure it out in the edit. Like,
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
You guys will figure it out. Like, just don't make me look too bad. And
that's what we do in this
final
podcast,
product.
if you can believe it.
Yeah.
Is we figured out in the edit.
So many edits.
Make it work.
So many edits.
There'll be a solid 12 minutes worth.
Yeah.
Of material.
There's a lot of magic you could do in an edit.
Yeah.
But
it's amazing.
yeah, they're quick. We had 15 days, and it was over 3 weeks because we had Saturday and Sundays off. But it was a quick shoot.
Yeah, I'm sure
And I think some of the other movies maybe get a day or two extra, but
I'm sure the improv history helps too, because like with improv, you just kind of got to roll with it. So I imagine that if you have improv experience, you kind of thrive on a Hallmark set.
And I think there's a lot of stuff you just find in the moment that, like I said, between green light and shooting, it was so quick. So getting a chance to improvise even just a little bit on set, I think is important because there wasn't a whole lot of time in between the green light. So you don't always get a chance to do like another draft of the script for who was cast in the movie or things like that you might be afforded on something else. So I think that was helpful.
Well, we're excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure we're going to have rave reviews for it. I'm sure.
Almost guaranteed.
I have no doubt.
I have no promises to give Mr. Pellegrino, but he seems like a lovely individual.
I have no doubts about myself. I'll say that. Let's dive into today's movie.
At the very hopefully you guys, everyone could just laugh at me. You either laugh at us or with us, but just have a laugh. I don't care how you get it, but just tune in.
I love it. I love it. Trivia at St. Nick's is what we're talking about today. Let's dive into it. For those of you that missed it, it originally aired on November 8th, 2024 on the Hallmark Channel, and it went a little something like this. Astronomy professor Celeste is super excited about the annual Christmas trivia contest at Nick's Bar. It's a big deal, and not just for the bragging rights. The winner gets a trophy called the Stan, named after the best trivia competitor that Nick's has ever seen. Celeste feels really good about this year because they have Richard, a two-time Jeopardy winner, on on her team. She loves everything about the university that she teaches at except for football. I know.
Football.
Speaking of football, we meet Max, the offensive coordinator. He doesn't really have any plans this holiday season because his parents are going on a cruise. We're one day away from the first round of the trivia competition, and Richard backs out. Celeste is very stressed. So stressed, in fact, that she gets mad at Max over how he handles the buffet, something that she's downright wrong about.
So wrong.
So wrong. It's time for the first round, and Max shows up just to watch. But when the first round of the first round ends up being about sports, they call Max over to join the team last second, much to Celeste's chagrin. The first round ends, and they're down by 1 point. The rest of the team seems to love Max and wants him to stay on for the next 5 days. Celeste protests by saying, "I'm sure he's busy." Max responds by saying, "Actually, couldn't be more open. I'm wide open, baby." Celeste is annoyed, but she knows that winning is everything, so Max, you can come. Celeste clearly cares a lot about this competition, even more so than the rest of the team. She stays up all night studying and shows up the next day feeling incredibly intense. But how does it help them win? It does not actually help them win. In fact, they are in last place on night 2. That's tough. Max decides that the problem is that they forget to have fun. So the next day, he invites the team to play a game of Capture the Star on a rock wall. The old classic. His theory, if we have fun, we'll be happy. And if we're happy, we might just win. Celeste is hesitant, but gives in, especially when she finds out that it's a competition. And she ends up having a good time. Might have something to do with the fact that she won, but it doesn't matter. Afterwards, instead of studying, Celeste goes with Max to buy a Christmas tree, and they actually end up having a great time talking about each other and all that good stuff. They're getting to know each other, having fun. It's time for round 3, and the fun strategy works. They go double or nothing. What? And they end up getting first place in that round. Celeste and Max celebrate with a hug, and the sparks fly. He walks her home, and they connect even further. Max is pumped. The next day, they all gather for Christmas scavenger hunt. Some might sing it, Christmas scavenger hunt, because Celeste thinks that it could help come in handy for the night of trivia that is to come, based off some clues that the trivia guy gave. But worst case scenario, they'll have fun. They split into teams of 2. Of course, Celeste and Max end up teaming up. She's shocked to find out that he's a big reader and knows his way around the library. It turns out that this is the reason why they don't win the scavenger hunt, because they were in the library too long, but she's okay with it. It's time for the next round, and they crush it. The team morale is at an all-time high, and Max and Celeste aren't tired at all, so she takes them stargazing. They have the best time. The good times keep rolling. At one point, they even hold hands, but they lose track of time, and they're rushing back for trivia, and they have to swerve out of the way of a reindeer, and they end up with a flat tire. While waiting on a mechanic to come, Celeste snaps at Max for being the reason why they lost focus on what's important. They make it back just in time for trivia, except not at all. They miss it entirely, and they find out that they are in not first place anymore. They fall behind, back to third. The next day, Celeste tries to get in touch with Max, but can't reach him. She assumes that he's mad at her. It turns out his phone just broke. He spent the day, Christmas Eve, trying to find a replacement, harder than you might think. They make up, and they share a big old kiss. They arrive just in time for the final round. Thanks to Max actually studying, the team ends up winning. Everybody celebrates by kissing. I mean, everybody kisses. The provost of the university is there to just watch, actually, which is fun. And he tells Celeste that, hey, you can get your new telescope thanks to the funds that football brought in this year.
Football is important.
It's amazing. Maybe football's not so bad after all. That's the moral of this story. Max and Celeste agree to participate in trivia again next year, and they seal that deal with a kiss. And now, my friends, why? Trivia at St. Nick's.
We did it. You know,
I felt so good just listening to that.
It's like
I felt like I was in a dream. Okay,
watched
thank
all
you.
over again.
The E in CTE stands for education, if you can believe it.
That's funny.
That is a
You're
fun
a funny
fact.
guy. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk more about concussions and trivia at St. Nick here on
Deck the Hallmark.
Welcome back to Deck the Hallmark. Danny Pellegrino's joining us today to talk about trivia at St. Nick's. We're thrilled to be here. Let's start with the hot take. It's where
I
we share
love that.
exactly
And we're
how
going
we
to start
felt.
with our guest, I would assume.
I think we're going to start with Brian.
It's
We're
so
gonna do
weird,
something weird.
that we always start with Brian.
You know, I did it once, and now I feel like we're married to it.
Yeah,
you know?
there's nothing we can do.
Sorry, Danny. Just tune
Danny,
him,
if you
tune him
just
out.
wait,
That's what we all
you're
do.
on deck.
Yeah, you're on
Right,
deck.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go when he's
Okay.
done.
We'll all be patiently waiting, I'm sure. Brian, what'd you think about trivia at St. Nick's?
Yeah, I was nervous about this because of the trivia of it all, and I was just afraid that they would do trivia bad and it would overshadow everything else, and it was lousy. I ended up really liking this a lot. So many facts in this movie that really worked for me. All the space facts, the Christmas facts. It was like sneaky funny. I had some jokes that I was like, whoa, that
So
came
many
out of
facts
nowhere.
that you loved.
Yeah.
You were just,
Yeah.
you learned a
Facts.
lot.
I'm a fact horse.
Yeah.
If you will.
You're a fact horse?
Yeah.
What?
I like facts. I don't know. It just seemed to.
I've never
go
heard that
together.
term, fact
It's
horse.
It's not a term.
Okay.
It is. Now it is.
It is now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can say it. Because you can't say the other word. So I'm a fact horse, okay?
Oh, did you
Oh.
say horse? Got it.
I got you.
Got it.
You're,
So-
you're a whore for facts. Got
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Horse for facts.
So
Yeah,
I just,
horse.
it was really funny. I also really appreciated the
Oh, a
way
horse.
Celeste.
You're a horse for facts.
After
I
the,
understand now.
Thank you. After the tire incident, Celeste, her reaction was, what did she say? I wish I was never born. And that, for some reason, like that catastrophizing, so I've heard, is just right on. It was so great and so funny to me that it just, I don't know, this every time a sneaky funny line came out, it just notched the movie up. It's probably in my top 5. I haven't done the ranking for me, but it's way
Haven't
up
done your
there.
job.
You've got a lot of anxiety about actually ranking your movies, don't you? Like you're waiting on the spreadsheet. You're not
It's
doing the thing.
the process of inputting
Yeah.
the numbers.
But you
and
have them.
moving.
You just don't
Yeah,
want to. You're
yeah,
still just mulling them over.
yeah.
Are you still doing your 5 what was it?
Oh, my
your
point system.
Your
no,
point system.
No,
No, you've
that
thrown
was
that
one of
out.
the worst ideas I've
Now,
ever heard.
now that we actually have to rate them with points for the
stuck
sake of the
with
it.
draft, you
We've
stopped
come
doing
full
it.
circle. I'm
I
back
love
to the
that.
Do
point.
you have? Let me just ask you this: do you have anything close to a 10 yet this year in the Christmas?
Yeah.
because we're ranking out of 10. Do you have a
Yeah.
10?
No.
Okay.
No.
You got
What's
something
the
close?
closest to 10?
I
5
think
year?
it was the Sing Carol for 2. I believe I have
That was
like
my favorite too.
Yeah.
That was my
Oh,
favorite too.
wow.
So the Broadway Wicked
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy
That was my
Litz.
favorite.
Mine's Deck the Walls, weirdly enough.
It's
I haven't
weird.
even
I
said
have
but I just
made
put it right
it
there out
for
of
Deck the
10.
Walls.
Put it right there.
You could
No,
feel it. Yeah,
November
you could feel it.
29th, I
You feel
believe.
it out.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
feel
for
it out.
sure.
Danny, what do you think about trivia at St. Nick's?
Okay, so I have a lot of the things. I agree with you. I think there were a lot of sneaky lines that kind of I enjoyed. I'm a big Brant Doherty fan. To me, he's one of the best male leads that Hallmark has. Mostly just, I mean, looks wise is what I'm going off. I'm a
Well,
gay
yeah,
man,
of
and
course,
so
yeah.
that's what I'm going off of. And so I appreciated the fact that they showcased his arms throughout a
we
small
all
portion of
are.
the
Yeah,
film.
yeah,
we all
tank
do.
top
Yeah.
in the rock
It-
climbing scene. Come on, this.
Yeah,
guy.
it was nice of them to throw us that bone. But yes, and then the trivia. There were even the buffet scene was really funny. There were a lot of like little rom-commy callbacks. That buffet scene reminded me so much of the "You've Got Mail" scene.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm talking about when Tom Hanks uses
Yes,
caviar?
He just keeps scooping all the caviar, of course.
And I don't know for certain, but my theory would be that the writer was doing sort of a take on that "You've Got Mail" scene for that buffet scene when she's like, "You're not doing the buffet scene right." And so there was a few little moments like that. The others are kind of slipping me right now.
Do you
but
have a thought on the buffet arguments?
I sort of sided with him of that. Like, I
right.
think you should cut if you
You're a
don't
normal
want.
person.
You're a
That's
normal
right.
human being.
Right.
That's
Like
right.
if I don't need if I'm not wanting anything at the front of the buffet line, I will just go get the roll or the
Yes.
whatever's at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Like-
How do you guys live like this?
How
Are
are
you
you?
kidding
No,
me,
you're a
Brian?
monster.
Brian, you don't. You don't,
in
Brian.
my-
You just wait.
I'm afraid. It's paralyzing that everybody's going to be judging me
You're a
for
monster.
doing it, and so I'll just wait in line.
You
I'll
know
just
what
suffer,
breaks?
I'll just
You know
suffer.
what breaks the paralysis is getting food and sitting down and eating it.
I would be in my head the whole time thinking
When there's
about
a pizza
how they hate me.
buffet
Everybody
and
hates me.
all the kids in Brand are lined up for the pepperoni pizza, and there's all this other pizza there, are we all supposed to stand in line and wait for everyone to get that one pizza where you just can go? Like, I'm just trying to be efficient and help everyone here.
Right. Or even sometimes they'll put like the silverware at the end or the napkins at the end or something. It's like you got your food and you don't want any more food for your plate or your plate's full. It's like, why do I got to wait in line? Let me just go grab my napkin and sit down.
Brandon and I looked at each other. We watched this morning, early this morning, and we looked at each other like, man, she's so wrong. And Brandon, after a long pause, Brandon went, can you believe there are people out there that actually believe she's right in this regard? And I was like, dude, I can't believe that. I don't know anyone like that, but now I do. And it's Brian Harold.
Yeah, you do.
And I see someone in here saying that I was grabbing multiple things. I think the play here is you go, you get the thing, and then when there's someone right in front of you, you see if they're moving before you go around them to get the next thing
You
that
gotta
you want.
read. It's an option.
You gotta read it.
Yeah.
Sounds a little too sporty. I don't know.
You know, the main worry with this movie was actually that they were only going to be in that trivia location the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was concerned, and they did find clever ways, I think, to get around that, because I just thought, are we going to sit in this bar set the whole time? And I like that they found, even with the reindeer accident situation, I was like, okay, they found ways to kind of veer away from that.
Would you consider yourself a trivia horse or no?
No, I'm not. Yeah, maybe actually not for all the categories, but I think some of those categories I would have done well, and probably not the sports one. But I loved how they did like the Hallmark trivia category. I thought like that was
a fun little Easter egg.
So fun. And then I thought the trivia was really fun. My only or one of my other complaints would be, I liked the ensemble supporting cast so much, and I just would have liked to play around with them a little more. And that's not even so much a complaint. It was just like, I think coming from watching those Haul Out the Holly movies, where I think they did a really good job of filling out that supporting cast. With this one, I was like, oh, I want to get to know that person or that person, this person a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really like this movie. I felt like we were starting off, and we started off really strong. We started off with this ensemble that is fun and quirky and adding lots of energy. And then at a certain point, they did what Haul at the Holly doesn't really do, and they just left the quirk and the silliness of the ensemble behind, and they just started to do,
a standard Hallmark movie.
Their own thing. And I think, Danny, to your point, what makes Haul at the Holly so good is that ensemble, and that they stick with it. That the whole movie is kind of reliant on all of those pieces crushing it and making you laugh. And this movie started off, I think, in that direction, and then at some point they just they went on the old exit ramp, and I would have rather them not. I would rather them have just stayed on that highway of the ensemble. But when the ensemble is together, I thought that this movie was really good, really funny. I thought the two leads, once they got past that certain point of these two should not be together, once they totally changed their characters, then they really worked well together. But yeah, as a whole, really, really liked this movie. Really liked the beginning, really liked the end. It was kind of that little section in the middle where it lost me a little bit, but one of the better ones of the year so far.
I kind of shocked at all the praise. I think but I do agree with Brand that this movie starts off really strong. The first 15 minutes of this movie is zany, wacky, screwball comedy ensemble cast. And you're thinking it's like fast talking and the dialogue's popping, and you're going to have these weird trivia scenes, and the sense of humor and just how they're playing this movie is a commitment to a bit that we don't see on Hallmark, save for Haul at the Holly. And then all of a sudden, about 15, 20 minutes in, it becomes kind of boring. It becomes kind of just like more of a routine, lesser than Hallmark movie. It was not made by Hallmark. It's clear that the budget is not there. Brant Doherty is consistently great in these movies. Last year he was in a movie called Joyeux Noel. He was good in that movie, even though the movie not great. He's in Christmas movie Christmas, which was on Up TV, which I think does commit to a bit, and he's hysterical in it. He knows how to be comedic in these movies, but they kind of change the characters. They kind of make you try to care about the plight of this. And so if you have a zany movie where they're like, football won the New England championships, which is one of the dumbest sentences you could ever say out loud. Well, if I know that the whole movie is wackadoo crazy, then that line's funny. If you make it a serious movie where I'm supposed to care about budgets and the new telescope and the seriousness of all this, then that stuff becomes kind of embarrassing. It was like somebody committed to a choice and then they realized they weren't happy with it and they backed off. And so everyone's the worse for it. I think there was way more potential here. The first 10 or 15 minutes caught me off guard. The rest of this movie just spirals pretty solidly into kind of the bottom of the barrel. So like for me, unfortunately you wasted, Brent Doherty's arms and the rest of him. I mean, you just kind of wasted
And the
it, in my
rest of
opinion.
them.
And the rest
Those
of them.
those arms are never completely wasted.
No. That's right. That's right.
But I also thought there was such a loose connection to Christmas. That would be my other kind of
Yeah.
critique, was
Barely
that
there.
it really could be a movie that we watched any time of the year. So I wish there was like a stronger connection to the holiday.
What's interesting about the movie though is that, yes, you're right. I think if this was a spring movie, I probably would have been kinder to it. I also think that the movie goes a great deal to get how fervent people are about bar trivia right. Like, people who don't study at all love bar trivia. They just love it. That's a thing that they love to do. And then simultaneously, they try to find a way to undercut that in a way that, like, never added up to me. Like, there's a lot going on here. We get to in the wait what's, but it's a movie that seems to do the hard things right and the easy things wrong. That was my big takeaway from the movie.
Danny, as somebody who just said that he would have failed in the sports trivia section, did you find the line about college team winning the New England championship as insane, or did you just go like, that's a thing?
Just right over my
That
head.
you just
Didn't
heard
even,
that they
didn't even
won-
clock it.
You heard they won the New England championship. You're like, that checks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me tell you something. In Deck the Walls, there's a line about the movie First Wives Club, and I just know that's going to go right over the heads of you guys. And so
How
just know
dare
that
you, Goldie Hawn in that movie? I know all about First
Oh,
Wives
so maybe
Club.
maybe it won't go over your head, but
you know.
but for the that just went over my head. But I am fascinated. I do want to just mention on a public forum that I am fascinated that this is a loose connection, but they are really pulling Taylor Swift in this year with these holiday movies. I was listening to your recap with Jax. You guys did the Netflix Christmas movie with Christina Milian, and I feel like that was inspired by Taylor Swift, and it should have been. I feel like they saw the Eras tour and they made it was like pentatonics in the movie, but I feel like it was inspired. I feel like that was inspired by Taylor Swift. The Lifetime's got the one that's inspired by her life. We have the Kansas City Chiefs movie. So just mentioning football, I think it's fascinating how that relationship with Travis Kelce is sort of infiltrating into this Hallmark Christmas world, because even the sort of way that embracing of sports within this world, I think, is happening because of that relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I being crazy?
You're 100% right. The movie we're going to cover tomorrow, 'Tis the Season to Be Irish, has a Taylor Swift-esque character in it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's happening with all over the place. I'm noticing.
This year's Winter Storm Megan. It's this year's thing that they're doing where they're like, we could throw this in here because it's kind of relevant. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Anyway, so you said football, and my mind went to Taylor Swift, which tells you everything you need to know about
That's fair.
that quote.
Let's get to all the feels where we talk about what in this movie gives feels. Brian.
Yeah, it was the funniness of it all, and this movie has one of my favorite characters of the year, Freddie. Ari Brand played Freddie. He was so fun.
Who's Freddie?
Freddie was like the
history guy?
No, he was the husband of the
plant guy.
That was
he had
one of your
all
favorite characters of the year?
Yeah, man.
You liked
His lines
Freddie
were
more than
I
the
did.
history guy.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I did. Gary,
What?
Gary, the history guy.
Bold.
I like Freddie a lot.
That take is scalding.
I like Freddie a lot.
That take is crazy.
I mean, not taking anything away from Gary.
It sounds like you are.
Good character.
Sounds like you're taking
Freddie,
stuff away from
I
Gary.
just had a lot of fun with Freddie. I'd like more Freddie. I thought he was played really well. And that's it. Yeah, it was really good feels for me.
Okay.
Seeing
All
Freddie
right.
go off.
Danny, Gary's
wanted
Gary's
more of-
better
I
than
want-
Freddie, right?
Gary's better than Freddie.
Yeah, I wanted more of. There was more of Gary and Sherry. Gary and Sherry.
and Sherry.
Sherry was the name, right? The mom.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted more of Gary and Sherry. I mean, just in general, like we said, I wanted all the supporting characters. I wanted more of them. Yeah. One of the things I learned from making a Hallmark Christmas movie is like they're casting. I mean, this might have been different because it was acquired, but I think casting wise, they have to hire a lot of local cast actors for the supporting roles oftentimes. And so I was watching it thinking kind of behind the scenes of like, oh, who was a local actor who was hired, who was cast by main casting. You know, I was kind of thinking of how that all went. But yeah, I wanted more of all those supporting people.
Do you have any other feels aside from the ensemble itself?
I did like it. I know I have some complaints about it, but overall I did really enjoy it. And I like how it played into some of those tropes while also giving us a little bit different of a story. I just wish it was a stronger connection to Christmas because I didn't feel like the warm and fuzziness. That's what I kind of was missing from it.
Got it. Yeah, my feels was that Hallmark Christmas movie category that you mentioned, Danny. I felt like that was really well played, and I would have even maybe taken a beat longer with it. I thought that Gary being so excited about it and like the shock that Gary, the history guy, is, and like that was really funny. And I think they maybe could have even done one more question in that category to really seal it home. But it was really funny. Really liked it, and I liked the meta-ness of it. It worked for me. Dano?
I think one more round too. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again.
You're good. No, you're.
I think having one more round of that, whether it be the Hallmark trivia or another trivia, I think we could have learned so much more about those supporting characters by what they knew from the trivia. It's like such an easy way to sort of get out exposition and information about the characters based on like what they know in these trivia categories. And so I kind of wish the game went on a beat longer so we could have gotten to know all of them. Or it would have been interesting to know like, oh, Gary knows this random thing about this thing, you know, and that affects his character or any of them.
The more that we all talk about this, if you put the Hall Out the Holly cast in this movie.
Oh, can you imagine?
If you put Lacey and Wes, Stephen Tobolowsky, Melissa Peterman,
Are you kidding me right now?
if you add two more to those four,
Yeah.
and it's the same script, they probably crush it.
Oh, man.
They probably like really, really crush it. So like, yeah, I think that Hall Out the Holly cast is pretty special, and I think you're 100% right. Another category where somebody just happens to be great at it, and that's a fun way to learn things would be great. My feels was pure exhaustion for holiday events feels. The beginning of this movie is pitched as all of the folks that are like holdovers, right? They stay in this town and they don't have any family to go home to. And so they do a 6-day day-night water fight. They do a 6-day trivia, like a night where they figure out the teams and four. And then
stressed you out?
No, that if it's to me and it's just people who have nothing to do, it's perfect. I'm like, great. So a lot of the movie is going to take place in the bar. And then over the course of the movie, we find out that a lot of the folks in town have other obligations and have other stuff to do. And as someone that my battery is not drained from being around people, I was starting to have my battery drained just thinking about 6 nights of trivia and all of the other holiday stuff that I have going on. There's just, it was a lot. It was a lot to like process. I think I'm the reverse of Danny on this. If the movie all took place in Nick's, I think it's a better movie.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's a better movie because you don't have the stuff, aside from the buffet scene, I don't think you have the stuff that derails this movie. I think it's a better movie if we're all in there and we have to be creative with our camera angles and our character development. I think it's a better movie if we can just dig down with those 6 characters and occasionally get that Aubrey Plaza knockoff over there and do the thing like that. Yeah.
Well, it could be interesting too to do like almost like a Breakfast Club version of this where they are stuck in like make the bar bigger or make it so it's attached to a barn or some a shopping center or some other place where they could go within that and they're kind of stuck there or something. I think that's really interesting. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah. I love a good bar attached to a
shopping center.
Come on.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing, but a bar attached to a shopping center is a thing.
And the Hallmark universe, 100% is. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll get to the way, what, and the what. The Hallmark here on
Deck the Hallmark.
We're back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking about trivia at St. Nick's. Danny Pellegrino is with us. And it's time for the Wait What. It's where we talk about what in this movie made us go, wait, what? Brian, anything stick out to you?
A few things. Let me see here. Cutting the buffet line. Forget that one. There was a psychedelic version of Paul McCartney's "Wonderful Christmas Time" in this movie.
It just wasn't the song.
It was-
They started.
Oh
it
yeah,
as-
what was that
and then
about?
so trippy.
You realize
Yeah.
about 2/3 of the way
Not
through. It's like when Vanilla Ice stole
Yeah.
Queen. It's very close.
It was so.
I felt like the first hour of this movie, they purchased like a royalty-free
Yeah.
synth Christmas
Yes.
album, and they said,
Yeah.
we're going to use all the tracks.
There was a Jingle Bells rendition that was similar. Like it was trippy. Like
Yeah.
it was trippy.
Yeah.
It was a little
Trippy.
Trippy.
The music was odd. Yeah.
Yeah. If you say there's a reindeer in the road, you got to show.
You got to show
the
the reindeer
in the
road. You can't load that gun. I mean, you just come on.
I want to see that stock
Right.
Yeah.
footage of a reindeer in the road staring at the headlights and then running off with the hay in its mouth. Come on. Her talking to the athletic staff about having to ask for a telescope. That's it. That's the way. What you?
Yeah.
The athletic staff's not going to understand not being able
No.
to get something they ask for. Like that, they
At
don't
all.
understand that. They get whatever they want.
But
Yeah.
also, it being an actual point of
Yeah.
this movie that we're supposed to care about is
I mean,
absurd.
those of us in higher ed, we know.
we know. Those
You-
of us with
I mean,
master's
her
degrees.
saying, "I asked for something I need for my job in the college and not getting it." Like to him, he's just like, "What? I don't. What are
Yeah.
these words you're saying? Like
Yeah,
you just get.
And
things."
then at the end, it was like when the provost comes up,
Yeah.
I could have sworn Brant Doherty was going to show up and they're going to be like, hey, he's the guy that really got this going. He came to you and was like, no, it just so happened the provost wasn't answering emails.
Yeah, he shut it down for the break.
Yeah,
That's
he was
all.
like, I meant to tell you, I know we're here at the bar for the trivia championships on Christmas Eve, but I just ignored all your emails
Yeah.
requesting a new telescope, but it's happening.
Yeah,
We're gonna get it to you.
Yeah, no problem.
yeah. So there were
He's
those are
been
a few
actually working
standouts.
around the clock on that.
Yeah,
The
So,
telescope,
just too
yeah.
much to even communicate
Yeah,
with
it's
anyone.
just too
Yeah.
much. I'm in the weeds.
He would take time away from the getting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny, anything stick out to you as a wait what?
My big wait what was really the lead, Celeste. Her love of trivia just didn't. I don't know. It either needed to be more obsessed with trivia or it was less obsessed. Like I didn't buy that. It was like a little crazy wackadoo to me how obsessed she was with trivia. And I think if it was maybe a little more, I could have suspended disbelief and made it would have been playful to me or something, or tongue in cheek or something. But as it stood, it was like a weird middle ground where I was like, she just seems a little crazy and not fun crazy
I
about
agree.
trivia.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
100%. At the
Okay.
point where she gets mad that Brant Doherty is going to join the team, I was like, you can't have this both ways.
Right.
You're going to forfeit. You have to have 6. You would rather forfeit the thing you care most about than have a guy that could help you on the team. I thought you wanted to win.
And it just didn't track with me. Her level of love for this trivia didn't track with me.
It wasn't consistent. And I don't know if that's on her. I think that might be how the character's drawn, but who knows?
Yeah.
Even like a little montage showing her doing trivia throughout the year, like just to show how fanatic she
Or
was.
the previous year losing
Yes.
Yeah.
with all those guys and
Yeah.
just one other person that we
she just
lose.
goes nuts, starts
Yeah.
throwing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one playful beat, I think, could have put it over the edge where it was silly, but like in a way that I accepted a little bit better. But as it stood, I was just like, she seems a little crazy about trivia, but not in a fun, crazy way. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I have a few. One, Dan, you coached for a long time.
I
You
sure
coached
did,
basketball for a long
Brand.
time.
Yeah.
And
for
you've
bringing it up.
never once brought in a snow globe that a player gave to you. And I want to know
Yeah.
why you're holding out on
It's
us.
true. I have a house
what's
full
that
of
about?
snow globes after the winning seasons that
Yeah.
we have from my
The
players.
star player always gives
It's a
the head
classic.
coach
Give it to the
a snow
guys.
globe.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
Give it to the guys.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's what the guy.
Yeah, we don't do it like the game ball. No, it's a game snow globe. That's what we
Game
do.
globe.
Can you imagine
The winner
it
of this
in
snow
the locker
globe?
room afterwards? The game snow globe today.
Shake it up.
Everybody, game snow globe.
I might have played football longer in high school if that was the case.
Snow globe?
All right, quiet down
man.
while I get this music going.
Oh, I love that. It is actually the music, the Wonderful Christmas Time.
Oh,
symphony
the
Yeah.
trip for
inside,
psychedelic
inside
version.
the inside
I
this
love
movie.
it.
Can I ask
ahead.
you guys a question that maybe you know the answer to when it comes to the music?
Sure.
How? I don't even know how to phrase this question, but like, sometimes we have these pop stars that do songs for these movies, and they'll even advertise Jennifer Hudson has a song this week or
Yeah.
something. will that be in the movie forever, like when they replay it, or is that like a special edition thing? Because some of the songs that were in this, I know I was watching it on premiere night, but some of the songs were so bad, and I was like, I wonder if different airings they have other music. Does this make any sense to you?
I
What I'm
mean,
saying?
It does. No, I do think that in Hallmark's case, what airs is forever, unless it goes international.
Yeah,
I think maybe
international.
internationally it gets weird. But there was a movie like a year ago, I believe, that had like Lizzo in it as like the ending song, and that was like a big thing. And I think that's a forever thing.
It's still there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
unlike the decom.
Unlike the decom, which
right.
does change. The decom does
Right.
change.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Because some of the songs in Trivia Saint Nick, I was like, are those going to be replacement songs for those other
They
movies?
forgot to
Yeah.
put in
I
the
don't
real
know.
songs.
Yeah.
We sent it to print and we didn't put in the real songs.
Whoops.
They're just
No one will
sending it
notice.
out like
No
that.
one will notice.
Yeah, it'd be
They'll
fine.
love it. It'll be somebody's feels.
Yeah.
Gary, as much as we love Gary, we
Yay.
love Gary.
We do like Gary.
Gary brings up that he knows about Friends, and he does that by saying the best TV show of all time, which is a thing that he was gonna put in quotes, I
But
believe.
he
with
just
his
does
hand.
like I'm not a
But he
crook
just
thing.
does this.
Yeah, that's right.
The greatest show of all time. So it's just Gary double peace signing it, and nobody was like, "Hey, buddy, like you got to do this. You can't just do the double peace sign." So that's. But it's also Gary. We love Gary.
Gary.
You can do no wrong. I didn't finish college, but I do know that if there was a North Pole mailbox sitting in the middle of campus, it would have been destroyed.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
college kids are just like, what's the next thing we can rip up and destroy and put soap in? Like they would have destroyed
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that
We
I know.
poisoned the North Pole mailbox.
Someone
Yeah.
would have pooped in it. A frat guy would have pooped in it for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Would have pooped in it. You can't do that. College kids are too crazy. What was this? Oh, they get to the musical part
Yep.
of the
Yeah.
of the trivia, and they're like, "Hey, we brought in these carolers, and they're gonna hum just a small portion of the song." And by small portion, they mean the entire song. They hum so much of the song, I can't imagine anybody getting the questions wrong. It's all of it.
Yeah.
They just hum forever. They're still humming to this day. There's no way that anybody got any of the musical. You just gotta do like a and that's it,
Yeah.
and just see if anybody can get that. But they just do the whole song, and that's just too much. Dano?
Yeah, we do have, and we've talked about this before. We do have a left-handed handshake in this movie,
Yeah.
which the four-leaf
Oh,
clover.
I didn't notice that. I didn't even notice it.
An absolute. Somebody starts a handshake by extending there, and we're Brain and I are left-handed. We would never.
No.
It's weird. It feels weird.
I'm
You're
gonna
both
request.
left-handed?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
That's why we're so great.
Yeah.
But
Good
I'm going to request that a left-handed handshake card is put into the next iteration of
I
Christmas
mean-
Movie Man. Just for the one, it's a 10-point card.
Yeah, you just can't do that.
it's
You're going to
exciting.
catch everybody. Everybody's going to freeze. They're going to be like, I don't know what
Right.
to do with this. I'm
And
not
then,
gonna-
and then 5 seconds later, she shakes somebody else with her right hand.
That's
And
right.
it's like, so
Yeah.
you do know how to.
yes, it was a camera.
Maybe she's
thing.
she's ambidextrous. Maybe
She's
Yeah.
crazy. She's ambidextrous.
Wait, what was going on? Did we talk about the drink that they were all drinking?
Jingle juice.
The
Jingle
jingle juice.
Not yet.
What was the jingle juice? What do you guys think was the jingle
It's
juice?
like a festive rum punch, right?
Yeah,
Like a festive
Yeah.
cranberry and some spices rum
It
punch.
didn't sound like a drink I would like,
Yeah.
personally.
But has anyone considered that maybe it was like a hallucinogenic drink and the whole movie was a hallucination?
Man, I would
Possibly. I don't know. Just
That would
something to think
explain the
about.
music.
I would hope people would hallucinate better. So I do have to point out that in this particular academic institution, it's a college that cares most about football, and they won the New England championship and then
right.
don't play any more games after December 10th. Two things in college football that don't exist. If you go undefeated, you play right into January, and there's not a New England championship. That's absurd.
Danny's like, good for them. I'm happy they got to spend
Yeah.
Christmas with their family.
Their championship.
That didn't bother me not one bit.
Yeah,
Didn't even
fair.
notice it.
So a lot of you can get away with a lot at trivia, like question wise, and call it trivia. I know this because Brandon and I have a trivia show on South Carolina Public Radio, Who What Wins, Saturday mornings at
out.
11, and a lot of what we do, I think, is trivia adjacent. But I can tell you this: who is on the schedule to play this Christmas on the NFL in the NFL games is I don't know if that's trivia or not. Like, who are the 8 teams playing football this coming Christmas? I don't even know what category that's in. Like, is
I
somebody
see what you're saying.
memorizing the upcoming?
It is in the category TV guide.
That would be like, that would be
Yeah, it's not
8
trivia. It's a
p.m.
schedule.
Like in all your,
Yeah.
producer Aaron Shea has done a lot of trivia. Have you ever heard the question asked, when is Gladiator 2 coming out? Like, when is a
This
movie
coming year.
Yeah, that's coming, like a future movie. Should we know when it's, or like what movies come out on November 29th? Like, is that not
Deck
weird?
the walls.
Yeah,
Deck the
that's
walls.
right.
Say, yeah, you nailed it. I said, put it on the T and you crushed it.
Set me right up.
I don't think it's that out of.
Okay.
It would really depend. Like I think it fits because it's Christmas trivia. In the trivia I used to play,
Rest in peace, obviously.
yeah, rest
Obviously,
in
rest
peace,
in
Wandering
peace,
Bard.
yeah.
Mary.
Too soon.
Yes.
But they like would ask like Final Jeopardy question would be like about sports teams. You have to name the 4 sports teams that have done this. And
Yes.
it was things that happened in
Of
the
course.
past.
Yeah.
But if it had been, that was just like a general all over trivia. If it had been specific to Christmas and the schedule had been announced, yeah, I don't think they had some very
Interesting.
specific sports questions that I love my team, but we never got right.
Yeah.
Sports is not my
But
forte.
I guess my thing was we have a sports round in this movie, and the best they could come up with is let's look at the schedule for
TV
coming up to
guide.
see who's playing.
The only thing that I can think of, Dan, is that the fact that this is the first year that Christmas Day games are happening with Christmas not being on a Sunday.
With Christmas not being on a Sunday, that is
it
true.
is
Would
a
they have a
big-
tasting where it's like you have to name 4 flavors in this drink, like a wine tasting?
No.
That was crazy to me
That
too.
was
I mean,
crazy.
I've had questions where they would name a drink and
Yeah.
you had to say like
Right.
what liqueur was in there or like, you know,
But
like a
hopefully,
Moscow Mule. What's
Yeah.
you know, but not like a hey, drink this and then decipher
Identify
it.
all the-
yeah, not.
yeah.
You would never
You know
think
what?
to
Yeah.
bring a sommelier on your
That's right.
trivia
I
team
mean,
in
they've-
case there's
Now
the
I
taste.
know
Now you
I
will.
need one. We're
Now
What
you
were you
need
gonna
one.
say, Danny?
I was just I was going to take us on a little detour. I'm sorry, but I was thinking about when Brandt, before he joined the team, it was popping up in my head that he was sort of standing around. Celeste was like, "Don't come sit at our table. We don't want you." And he sort of walks away and is just standing at the bar. But there was like no one else standing around at the bar. It was like just people who were on these trivia teams. And I just thought, wouldn't there have been other people around? Or maybe I guess that's my question to you guys who do the trivia. Are there usually people who aren't part of the trivia that are hanging out at the bar just
Aaron?
because they're there? Or is it just
Yes.
teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's always a bunch of people
Okay.
because sometimes the bar will be packed and then they're like, we only have 3 teams playing tonight, and it's always like, why? What are they doing?
To my earlier point, I think if it is the holdovers of this university who are all playing trivia and the whole movie's in the bar, then we don't have to ask any of these other questions. It's like only
Yeah.
them. Everyone else went home for the holidays. It's a college town, but now it does feel weird.
I mean, the
Yeah.
provost does show up on Christmas Eve
The
just to watch the
provost
finals.
is there.
So
Yeah.
To tell her
It's a
she got
big-
the telescope.
it's a big get. Big
It
get.
was just so clunky when Brandt walked over to the table and he's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I won't sit down." And then he goes and stands and it's like, "Well, no one else is there except for this man's going to sit and watch trivia alone."
That's even sadder.
That is sad.
This hot single man is going to watch trivia alone.
Just him and
Over
his
there by
giant
himself.
I mean, I'm
arms.
sure
That's
if he
right.
walked in with that sleeveless get up, that
Yeah,
he would have
would've helped.
Found a
Someone would have had him.
Yeah, he would have walked right out of there with the date.
You would have come on over here. Anything else, Dano?
No, that's it.
Okay, great. It's time for What the Hallmarks, where we wonder what could have been. Maybe you haven't given some clarity. Any questions we still have? What are we still wondering about? Brian?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm worried about the college football team. Vermont's a tough state to get recruits, and this new NIL
that's right.
era.
Yeah.
Getting
It's tough to
recruiting
get people up to
players.
Vermont
I'll tell you,
for
I
the
don't-
New England
So
Championship.
how are they going to do?
Yeah.
They're spending all this money on the OC, offensive coordinator.
Don't call it that. And they also are spending it on the telescope.
Telescope. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the football team. Worried about the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, thanks.
Danny, I'm sure that was yours too, but anything else that you're still wondering about that you would like an answer
Gary
to?
and Sherry. Gary and Sherry. I just kind of want to know like what happened with them, where they're at now, all of those things. Gary and Sherry.
I'd love
I
a
love
Gary and
that.
Sherry movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Mine is, they go to this rock climbing gym, and it is set up for the Capture the Star competition. Garland is on the rock wall in the shape of a Christmas tree. Is that a thing that this gym does, that they offer it, or is that something that Brant's character showed up early, set it up in 3 different tracks there for them to compete? Either way, it's interesting. And so I would like to know if this was a rock climbing gym offering or if it's something that he just did out of the goodness of his heart. Dan?
Yeah, there's an actor in this movie, Becca Zornosa, who plays the lead of the rival team that's winning the whole time. And I mentioned it earlier, but she is doing an Aubrey Plaza impersonation. If you go back and watch this movie, every choice that is made is the Aubrey Plaza choice. And it starts off like, that's a little bit like Aubrey Plaza. And by the end of the movie, it's so recognizable and so shocking. And I looked her up and she really doesn't have many credits. And so I would like to see her do something else, like not for this role. Like I would like to see her in another movie, because now I'm fascinated if she spent a lot of time watching Aubrey Plaza or if she's just similar. So that's right.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Danny, we did it. Congratulations
We
to
did it.
us.
It's a Christmas tradition now. Even
We
if you
made
don't
it.
have a movie, you've got to come on the show every
think so.
Christmas.
I'm here anytime you need me. You let me know, and I'm there.
Deck the Walls, November 29th. We're very excited about it. Anything else that you would like to tell the people now is your time?
Yeah, I hope people watch Deck the Walls. Check it out. It's going to be on Peacock. Of course, you guys know they put them up on Peacock that weekend. And then also I have a holiday movie book or a holiday book called Jolliest Bunch. It's an essay collection. So people who love the holidays, you could pick up and read a chapter at a time. It's sort of like Christmas Vacation in a book. So it's
I love
newly
it.
out on paperback this season. So it's called The Jolliest Bunch. You can get it wherever you get your books. And then I also have another essay collection called How Do I Unremember This? But Jolliest Bunch, for all the Deck the Hallmark listeners, I feel like they'll enjoy it. It's silly and funny and a lot of family hilarious stories.
Fantastic.
I
Danny?
enjoyed it this weekend. The audiobook.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
Brian.
I sure
Thank you
did.
so much
Yeah.
for reading it, Brian. Thank
Wow.
you. I'm honored.
It was awesome. And I'll tell you what, ended the perfect tone at the ending. Like funny,
Thank
crazy stories throughout, but the ending, perfect tone.
Does
Nailed the
Danny
ending.
do the reading?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man,
really,
look at
really
this.
great.
Yeah, I'm so proud of the book. And so I think people who like the holiday season and you need something to check out too, listen to the audiobook while you're shopping or pick up the hard copy, whatever.
How about that? Wow. Well, all right.
Got to keep the lights on at the house. So I'm sorry
Brian over
to
here
beg
with
people
the
to buy
kiss
my
up. You didn't
book,
even-
but
you
buy
didn't
the
even
book.
give us a
Didn't even
warning.
let us know he had a book.
Usually I brag.
Usually
Usually I brag when I read a
God,
book. Yeah.
he stands in line at
And
a
we-
buffet, but he did read Danny's book.
What do you think I did
And
at
we-
the buffet line?
That's right. He listened in while he was waiting.
That's where he was
patiently.
listening.
Yeah.
Right. And we need people to watch Deck the Walls because I really want to do a sequel. I have a sequel idea that I want to do. So we need people to watch it. So
Watch
they
it,
allow me
everybody.
to do it. And Hallmark
It's
puts me in something else because
Brand's
I
favorite
need
movie of the
gig.
year.
It's my favorite movie of the year already. I put it already at
Look
number
at
one. Danny, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We had so
Thank
much
you, guys.
fun, and we will definitely be bringing you back next year. And we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back
Yeah, we
tomorrow with more Deck the Hallmark. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a
Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's
Thank
a
you,
Bramble Jam
thank you.
podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.